Go. And I'm going to say a prayer. So, placing my hands on my heart, taking that deep cleansing breath of love and gratitude. So grateful for this opportunity to be here with my precious friends. Grateful for the love, the compassion, the support that is shared within this group. Grateful for Jesus' words in A Course in Miracles and his guidance on how to live a life of love, of unconditional love. We're grateful to have the willingness to be a demonstration of that love, to be a demonstration of what authentic, unconditional love looks like. Love of self, love of others, love of Mother Earth, love of the truth. We're grateful for all of our mighty companions that walk with us and talk with us on this journey of living a life of love. We ask that they join and support us now, leading us, guiding us, blessing us. Grateful that our hearts are fully open and receptive to that love and all the blessings. The whole kingdom of heaven is ours. And we're grateful to share all of the blessings and all of the love that we are with everyone because we're one with them. In grace and gratitude, we let it be, and so it is. Amen. So, oh, Colette, I love your picture. It looks so fun. So we are in the Manual for Teachers. What is the role of words in healing? Oh my gosh, I pretty much every single paragraph was highlighted. So I guess I'll start us with paragraph 2. Jesus says, as symbols, words have quite specific references. Even when they seem most abstract, the picture that comes to mind is apt to be very concrete. Unless a specific referent, I am tripping over my tongue today. That's okay. Unless a specific referent does occur to the mind in conjunction with the word has little or no practical meaning and thus cannot help the healing process. The prayer of the heart does not really ask for concrete things. It always requests some kind of experience, the specific things asked for being the bringers of the desired experience in the opinion of the asker. The words then are symbols for the things asked for, but the things themselves but stand for the experiences that are hoped for. I mean, that's a mouthful, first of all. That's a mouthful. But I so feel in every cell of my being that the truth is words are but symbols of symbols, and that words are not needed for healing. Words are not needed for our prayers because God knows what's on our hearts. But it is helpful, I feel, to be impeccable with our word, as the Four Agreements teaching says. So I feel like I'm praying often for my health and to have a healthy body, a healthy mind, healthy habits, all of the health. But what I'm really asking for is safety, freedom, and joy. So that is my true prayer, even though I am asking for health. And I know that my prayer is received in the way that there is a higher consciousness that knows what I'm actually asking for. And so it is received that way. So that's where I'm starting us. Thank you. Who else would like to share? Go ahead, Carla.
So I don't have where you. I'll have the. So it says the prayer of the heart. This is the second paragraph. I don't know what line it is. The prayer of the heart does not really ask for concrete things. It always requests some kind of experience. So when I was in Kuwait for the second time, I said this prayer, these words, right? I don't know if you're out there, angels, but if you are, I could use some help. So it wasn't the words. I had no idea what was going to happen. So the first step, it seemed like what appeared to happen is that I come home and broke both of my legs. And it was actually the first step of my letting go of wanting, stuff and to be whatever it is, and it's letting go. And so right before this, I had another experience, like 10 minutes till or something. I cut my finger and it started bleeding all over. And David does not like blood around. I can't touch anything with my thumb, or so. I realized I cannot open Band-Aids. Cannot. They seem like they're easy to. It should be easy, but I cannot. And this is very helpful, whatever. It's an experience. And I realized I was getting frustrated, and because I couldn't open the Band-Aids and I was bleeding all over, I kept trying to wipe it. And I remembered this, to remember to laugh. And I laughed. I'm like, at least I didn't cut my finger off or need to wake up there. I can hear him snoring in a room. And I mean, we focus on what we don't have, what isn't working, what we think isn't working. But if God is love and love is all there is, how can it be anything else than something helpful, some way? So I got a great experience. I remembered to laugh. And you know what? As soon as I did, I got the Band-Aids. It was my anxiety, my like, oh, I can't get, it was making more of what was happening. So when I let go and laughed and that was a prayer of the heart. I didn't even know, it wasn't words. It wasn't words. But everything seemed to work out. I got my Band-Aids on. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Carla. Carol, and then Leslie, and then Derwin.
Hi, everybody. So good to be here. Love you guys. I love this group. Okay, for me, it was all excellent and wonderful and full of good stuff. But because the personal part for me was parts of paragraph 5, I'm sorry, 4 and then 5. At the end of 4, it's, or the middle, if you turn the page, it says gradually he learns how to let his words be chosen for him by ceasing to decide for himself what he will say. This process is merely a special case of the lesson in the workbook that says, I will step back and let him lead the way. The teacher of God accepts the words which are offered him and gives as he receives. He does not control the direction of his speaking. He listens and hears and speaks. A major hindrance to this aspect of his learning is the teacher of God's fear about the validity of what he hears. And what he hears may indeed be quite startling. All these judgments that have judgments that have no value. When we doubt what we have heard, once we've said a prayer that God speak through us, there's no way for us to doubt it. Okay, was that really God? Is that really what I said? Were those the words that I wanted to pray? Hasn't got a thing to do with us. It's our hearts and our willingness to be vehicles, to be vessels, to be conduits. That's all we are to be. We don't choose the words, but we need to be willing to give over and accept that what comes out of our mouths, no matter how ordinary it may sound, and not high and mighty, those are not our words. Because if truly we pray from our heart, God, speak through me, especially if someone asks for prayer. We wait for 1 or 2 seconds or 10, and we say, God, speak through me. I am an open vessel. May your words be the words that speak, not my ego, not my choices, but your words. Then we have to believe that they are God's words and the Spirit's words through us. That's what I got from this, because it's so easy to second guess everything. That's not our job. Our job is to be available. Our job is to be the conduit through which other people can be healed, blessed, enlightened, shown the way. That's all we are. And so God's not asking anything other than willingness to be empty vessels that he's going to fill, and trust enough that those mundane words that come out of our mouth, and mostly they are mundane, they're not high and mighty. They're not our words either. And we don't have any place in it. So those parts of the 2 paragraphs at the end really spoke to me, because it's just something now that I do. I don't doubt anything. When I make that prayer, God, your words, not mine, you speak through me. Thank you that I'm removed from this as an ego. And so that to me was the most powerful part. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Carol. I had that same experience when I read that, and I wrote in there, this is why I share, and I was talking about in here, this is why I share my honest experiences when Spirit prompts me to do so, because my ego may not wish for these to be known, wishing to be perceived a certain way, but the truth sets me free. Truth sets us free. Thank you. Leslie.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Carol and Carla. And I'm glad you didn't cut your finger off, Carla. I know you'd be fine with it, but I'm still glad. I did not love this section. I'll be perfectly honest. Starting in the first paragraph, sentence 5, sometimes the words in the prayer are contradictory. Sometimes they agree. It does not matter. God does not understand words, for they were made by separated minds to keep them in the illusion of separation. Now, I understand that intellectually, but my all or nothing wants to say, so why bother? If God doesn't understand any words I'm saying, why bother then? Words can be helpful, particularly for the beginner, in helping concentration and facilitating the exclusion, or at least the control, of extraneous thoughts. And this is what I wanted help with. Let us not forget, however, that words are but symbols of symbols. They are twice removed from reality. And I've heard Jennifer say that for a many times. And I don't think I really understand what that means. I mean, so this is a hand. I'm using the word hand. I mean, just a stupid example. How is it twice removed? I don't get it.
Was it a hand before you were born? Did you even
No.
have the concept of hand before you were born?
No.
So
Okay,
it's
so that's a twice removed part, because this is a dream. This is the waking dream we're having.
exactly. Yes.
So when I think of it like that, the waking dream that we're having, I understand when God does not understand words, because they're made by separated minds to keep them from the illusion, to keep them in the illusion of separation. So as a spiritual being, I don't need to use words then, kind of like I think what Carol was saying, to be an open vessel. And I mean, I have a friend right now, her husband's getting he went in, I don't think she'll ever listen to this, so I can say this on this podcast, but her husband went in for an MRI. He was just having a lot of headaches. They thought they were just leaving their MRI, leaving, well, Friday, they like practically grabbed him and said, you can't leave the hospital, so now he had to have brain biopsy, and they have a 9-year-old kid. I mean, it's just, and she's a very private person, so I don't really know exactly what's going on. And of course, I want to pray that he not have a brain tumor and he be perfectly healthy. And yet, I know 2 bits. I don't know what anything is for. I know nothing. And so to me, my go-to, so to speak, is always the whole Ho'oponopono. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And God's will be done. And please, angels, help as much as you can. Because she's like, prayers would be appreciated. And she doesn't know anything about A Course in Miracles, so and I just, whenever I start to have those doubtful, negative thoughts, and my ego mind wants to go through the what ifs, I just stop myself and say Ho'oponopono and try to keep the vibration, because I don't know, it could be nothing. I don't know right now. But it's difficult when you want to give those words and you want to, it just seems so elementary when you want to pray for things. Oh God, please don't let him have a brain tumor. Really? What if the brain tumor is the best thing in the world for him? I don't know, but it's difficult not knowing. And I'm willing to be helpful. I'm here only to be helpful. I say that prayer a lot too, but I just thank you for saying that about the twice removed, Linda. I think I get that now more.
And it goes back to too that what Gary Renard said, don't be weird. Don't be weird.
Right.
When you're out in the world and you're talking to people, and even when you're talking to people that are Course in Miracles student, right. I find that the best thing to say is, I'm sorry you're going through this, because the majority of the time people are looking to be heard, to be validated, to be comforted.
Right. And I'm good at all 3 of those things.
Yeah,
so I don't need to worry. So
right.
It's just really interesting to find myself in this place of limbo, and how just watching myself and observing how much I want to try to control this situation, she's very private. She doesn't want to talk about it, yeah. And I just have to respect that. And I'll know, no news is good news. That's my first thought. And I'll know when I need to know it. And I'm more than happy to work above the battlefield and just offer my support as much as I can.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would just say, if I was praying for her, I would say, I'm so sorry. I'm praying for comfort and peace in your hearts and your minds. I'm praying that you will be fully supported, both in the visible and the invisible, if that's something that they believe in, or just that you will receive support, on earth and in heaven, or however feels most appropriate for you to mention something like that. And just know that in your heart of hearts, what you're holding is this or something better, Lord.
Right. This or something better. God's will be done.
Exactly.
It's just when I read this over the weekend, I'm like, but basically none of those beautiful words you just said, Linda, matter. I mean, kind of prayer seems like it's for, is prayer for the ego, kind of?
Yeah. It's for
Really?
the personality, because in reality, none of
It's
us
a
are
dream.
here.
It doesn't matter. You're right.
Exactly.
But we're not going to be weird and say that. Oh, don't worry about it. He's fine. It's just a dream. Of course, we never would say that.
Right.
So it is kind of for the personality.
Yeah, it is for the
Okay.
personality, and it's from the personality. And
And that's
it's
why it's really not needed. I mean, technically down
Right.
to the pure course talk, it's okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well,
And
that,
I would just like to add this thought in, if it's okay. Mary Baker Eddy, in her Science and Health book, has a chapter on prayer, and she warns against prayer. She said, you need to be careful, because prayer can be used, and it can turn people into hypocrites, because, if you use it to think, well, I can do this, and then I can pray or repent, and everything will be fine because I prayed about it or whatever. I mean, I think I always have to remind myself that she puts out that warning, because I think it's important.
Yeah. Yeah. Weak prayer can be used as a weapon. Just like people used to vex each other or curse each other, a curse upon your family, put the Maloiks on you or whatever.
Or make
So
or let you
that
think you
also
can get
is a
away with
prayer.
stuff because, you can pray about it or say you're sorry or whatever. And I guess the other thought I want to have, and I don't know if it really relates, maybe it does, but I have a friend down the road who's been helpful to me a lot in the past 2 years since I moved here. She was kind of my backup plan in case something came up for me, and she has been slipping into dementia the past few months, and now it's just getting really advanced and that quickly. And I had a conversation with her. I don't know if I'd call it a conversation, but we chatted the other night, and it just got so bizarre. I felt like I had entered an alternate reality. I mean, it was so off the wall. And I'm
Yeah.
wondering, I keep questioning, where does the mind go? If the mind is a real thing, if it's tangible, where does it go?
Well,
And
except
maybe that
for
gets into this symbol of a symbol thing.
right. Except for that is the brain. That is not the mind. And I had to remind myself that over and over and over again before my mom passed away, because there were times when what she was saying made no sense whatsoever. And I would just have to
That's how
remind
this
myself,
is. And I've kind of had to distance myself
Yes.
because, I mean, I just have to accept it's like she's physically still here, but she's not really here.
yeah. And then you'll notice, Deborah, too, that you'll be mourning her, even though she's still here. You mourn the loss of what was. You mourn the loss of the friend that you had. And that's all normal and okay. And anytime she thought of her pops in your mind, just say a little prayer and send her some love.
and the
I'll
other
do
thing
that
that,
because she just kind of has given up, I think, and accepted it.
Yeah, I don't think they have much of a choice sometimes. I know in my mom's case, she didn't. And she, when she was lucid, she would say sometimes, I don't feel like myself anymore. I just don't feel like myself. I knew what
And
she was saying.
She keeps saying that she has people visiting her, and those visitors are like her dead brother and her mom and dad who've been gone for years. And I mean, she acts like they're really there.
Yeah.
and they
maybe
could
are.
be, who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe,
know.
and I just know that this is, and I'm sure Mary Lee can agree with me from a nursing standpoint. They say with dementia patients, don't argue with them.
Right.
If they want to say it's Christmas, Merry Christmas, I love you.
Yeah.
But that's tough, Deborah. I know yeah.
Well, and it's kind of a personal, selfish point of view, but I did depend on her as a backup. But now I can't depend on her to even answer her phone, much less,
Right.
do anything to be of help to me. So it's a loss for me, and I mourn her. I mean, because
Yeah.
something is missing.
Yeah. I'm holding for you that that she is completely on her own path and surrounded and loved by her own heavenly helpers, and that you will have help. You will have help coming to you. I'm just knowing it for you.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah. Thank you, Deborah. Gwen, and then I think Grace.
I'm sorry, Gwen, just one quick thing. I just want to add, man, you just never know what life is going to throw at you. You know, if you want to take that trip, take the trip. You know, I never would have imagined that this thought was even anywhere in this dream, and yet somebody I love dearly is going through it. So grateful for the present moment. Okay, Gwen, your turn.
Yes, the present moment is always where it's at. I really appreciate what you were sharing this morning, especially Carol. I really like that about, you know, just saying a prayer to be a vessel, that what needs to come through comes through. And I love this segment, because it's certainly a reminder that I know, you know, we have to use words in our life, but I guess the question is, how do we use them? And I'm going to really try to be more mindful to ask for what needs to be said to come through me, because I'm reevaluating one particular relationship I'm having with a person. And some of the conversation is, you know, they're into political things and whatever, and quite animated, and get kind of angry, actually, and to the point where I'm sitting there and I almost feel like, wow, I'm almost being attacked, but I know that I'm not. And it's like, well, how do I want to respond when someone, you know, is saying something? Well, I know what came to me this morning. Those, you know, when we condemn ourselves. What came to me, but I have to find a way to convey that, you know, to this person in a kind, loving way. And I'm also had an experience recently of where, you know, there was a technological issue with corresponding and communicating with someone. So, you know, they didn't get the call that I had sent. I didn't get their text. And because of this, it created a rather couple months separation. And it was partially due to technology. So now conversation is a little bit strained, or a little bit, you know, I got to get back on a new track or whatever. So this is a really interesting experience. And so it makes me so mindful of what we say. And I just really want to keep that in mind, because, you know, just the choice of a couple different words can be positive or take it negatively. And, you know, I really want to be careful what it is I'm trying to convey to someone, and doing it always with kindness. And in the response, Leslie, too, it's like, we don't know what the divine plan is for the person, you know, whoever it is, ourselves or someone we love or know and we care about. So I totally get that. You know, you want to be helpful, you want to pray for whatever and say the right thing to someone. But yeah, who would think that and what we might term as a negative physical experience might be a good thing? Hard one to get your head around, but I thought this was a great section to remind us, you know, of, you know, what we're saying, and be deliberate about what we choose as our words.
And I heard something a while ago that I think fits. I mean, when you look at the word itself, word, all you have to do is add an S to the front of it, and it can become a sword.
Yeah,
And I think words can be used either way.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's about the intention behind them. Yeah, thanks for that reminder, Deborah. Grace, did you wish to share, or did you accidentally come unmuted?
Sorry, I must have touched my AirPods. Apologies.
Oh, that's okay, honey. Derwin.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good everything, light workers in the world. Love you all. I did like this chapter. And Leslie, I'm sorry, but I really love that sentence 9 in paragraph 1. So let us not forget, however, that words are but symbols of symbols. But the reason I think I like it is because English is not my first language. English is my third language. So while I have learned to pray in English in our community, I am still sometimes finding the words in my own languages, Dutch and Papiamento. And sometimes when I speak with my family and friends, I realize I am less fluid sometimes in praying, even in my own language. I can, so I really felt, it has the meaning we give stuff, but I sometimes also thought I need to have the perfect pronunciation, the perfect words in English. And I feel sometimes less because they're not so perfect. So that's why I appreciated this part for myself. I also liked in the second paragraph, the part where it says in line 5, it always requests some kind of experience. The specific things asked for being the bringers of the desired experience in the opinion of the asker. The word experience is the word that I was thinking about. Why? Because in prayer, I notice sometimes when I'm drawn to prayer, not as a ritual, not as part of, yeah, we will start a prayer here, but sometimes really because I feel stuck. Nowadays, where I am now, I feel stuck. And then somehow I get to the point where, okay, go and pray and release it. And before I pray, I start to cry because I feel that I'm heading towards accepting the atonement. I feel that I'm heading towards that specific part where I will remember that we are one, that I do not have to think I am separate. And for me, that is an experience to accept the atonement again and again and again and again. So that part resonated with me in the form of an experience. And I just wanted to say that, yeah, I think 2 years ago, the word atonement, I would look around. Why are you using that word? And now I find myself sometimes explaining to others what it means to me. What a beautiful meaning the word accept, or the concept of accepting the atonement has. So yeah, that's very shortly what I wanted to share. Wish you all a beautiful day.
Thank you, Derwin. I think you are a great orator. And you have a beautiful way of speaking. And yeah, don't ever doubt that. And at the same time, I know like some of my most sincere, most miraculous prayers have been really not like, really, come on, that's a prayer. So they are not always beautifully put together like a poem or a beautiful dance or piece of music. So yeah, it is that too. I mean, if you're going to stop yourself from praying just because you feel like you don't have the right words, that's just sad for me. It's just sad. Don't judge yourself in that way. Go ahead, Carla.
I got the picture thing here. Okay. I guess what's coming to me is I'm a great poet. And it's not the words that come out, that whether they touch people or don't touch people, it's not that. It's the energy behind them. It's just the energy. It's not that I'm great or anything. I'm just allowing that energy to flow through me. And that's been very challenging because the body, the personality self, the ego, whatever you want to call it, it resists. It just resists. And so there was a time, like, I don't know, 15 years ago, that I did a fire puja. I wrote down a lot of things on paper, words, and put them in, burned them in the fire. And the one thing that came to me after it, I'm like, oh, if I let them go, who am I? Really? It was really challenging because I thought I was willing to do it, yet the mind, I think it's the collective consciousness, because it does say in the reading about extraneous thoughts, and that's all thought is shared, right? So sometimes when I, the ego, it's what it is, just think I'm judging. It's like ego uses ego to preserve ego. And so the true self cannot judge, is unable to judge. It's just a thought that's offered to us. And if we accept it by thinking, oh, I did that again, judge ourselves. It's very challenging because this looks like we have to do things in the world. We have to, I'm coming here to this class. I have to set up my computer. I have to pay the bills, not have to, but words, pay the bills or buy groceries or do laundry or wash my body or put Band-Aids on, you know? And then we get lost in what's happening. It seems like we have to do things and then we get caught up in, I do get caught up in the attachment. Oh, so I got a Band-Aid, my finger wasn't hurt bad and everything was fine, but then my mind goes like, oh, you could have got blood on things. And David could have got really upset at you. I'm like, that didn't even friggin' happen. And if it is appearing to happen, they can only be helpful. I can only be helpful in some way. I don't know how. So what I'm realizing is we can't choose. We don't always choose how other people, what their choices are and what life hands us, but we can, the only power we have is the power of choice. In the Way of Mastery says, it's the only power that can never be taken away from you. Can't always choose how life treats us or does whatever happens in life, but we can choose how we respond to life. That is the only thing we really have. It doesn't seem like we have total control, but we do. It was what we're free. But we can choose how to respond to life. And the only way in the Course, it says the way to respond is it's a call for love and love, and how you respond to both of them. Love. Now, I can't always go there when my finger hurting or something, you know, but I can go to acceptance. I accept that this is how I feel. I accept that this is, it's okay. It's all okay. So just so I don't ever plan on saying stuff, but stuff comes out.
Your stuff is helpful, Carla. Thanks. Fabi.
Yes, it is helpful, Carla. And I don't know, I just love about this chapter to be reminded not to pray for things, but only, well, this is more like, oh, this is more like a question, because like a couple of days a week, I signed up for the prayer room, and people call and want prayer for things, and for them it's very valid, you know, like one is in a nursing home and they don't want him there because he requires too much attention and he is in need of another nursing home to take him in because they're telling him he has to go. And that's his prayer request. And for example, another one that he wants clients because he sells insurance of some sort, and he needs clients, and those are their prayer requests. So how do you not ask for things and fulfill their requests? You know, I just try to bring in like, okay, we pray for prosperity, which is a spiritual quality, and for clients to come pouring in for this person, like as a result of the spiritual quality of prosperity. But I just find it difficult not to pray for things when the request is about things. So if you have any suggestions, I could really use them.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Fabi, and thank you for picking up some times in the prayer room. I know that's always appreciated. So for both of those instances, I would first just tap in and listen. Let Spirit speak through you. You're not the one that's saying the prayer anyways. The prayer is being said through you. And so just know and trust that the words will come exactly how the person needs to hear it. And yeah, so I would just pray that the person that needs to be put into a new nursing home, that they are just going to be open and receptive, that their vibration will be raised to a point where they will, the perfect place for them will be attracted to them, and that they will know it most definitely, unquestionably, they will know where they are supposed to be. And with the person asking for clients, praying to have them, like you said, know their abundance and their prosperity, praying to have them know that their clients have already been chosen and they only need to open their hearts to receive them. And yeah, and just knowing that whatever is supposed to come through you is going to come through you. Don't doubt that, because you are an amazing counselor and prayer person. I know that your family looks toward you for guidance all the time. I know that there are many people in our community that look towards you for guidance and for wisdom and clarity when they can't hold it for themselves. So yeah, just trust.
I always like to what Robin and I used to talk about it, that, you know, pray for what they want. Absolutely. But end it. I remember, Robin, you said this to me, but end it with this or something better. God's will be done. And I thought that was a great exclamation point to the prayer.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
Yeah, because maybe that person that's asking for more clients maybe the universe is trying to push them out of the work that they're doing into something else. We never know. We never know. The truth will be revealed and love will prevail. Mary Lee and then Robin.
If Robin has something to say there directly with what was just being said about prayer, it's okay if she goes first. I mean, it's okay with me. Mine was, so I'm okay if
That's
Robin
fine.
goes first.
Yeah.
Just quickly, thank you, Leslie. I think even more Jennifer taught at some point when we're making plans. I just remember people were like, the course says stop making plans. And we were all like, what? How do you do that? And she said, I make plans all the time. She said, but then after I've made the plans, I step back and I give it to spirit and I open up. And I think, Carol, many of us have gotten that earlier on, and maybe this is, everybody knows it, but I just thought it was a good repeat. And thank you, Leslie, for bringing that forth. Another thing, Fabi, I think you'll be really happy to know that the person you're speaking of, who was in a nursing home, who was telling him they had to leave, they backed off and welcomed him to stay. So he is still there. And we were praying for this. There's a 9 p.m. prayer room, and he comes to that. And we prayed whether he was there or not. He doesn't come every night or day. But we always prayed for the highest and best. We always prayed for ease and grace. And I know this can look or sound really like, what do you call it? Like Pollyanna. People say, but we know that going inside, and whether it would have happened or not, that is the place for healing of some sort. And he may have eventually had to leave, but he didn't have to. And we were so grateful. And I just remember that our prayers were all about the spiritual qualities and holding him in the spiritual qualities. So I just wanted to share that. And then so I can share later if I feel up to it, but Mary Lee, I would like to hear your thoughts. Thank you.
Well, this chapter was a little bit difficult for me because I place a big importance, probably, according to this, not maybe too much importance on words. Often Deborah was mentioning this individual that had lost, she's demented now, this individual that she mentioned. Well, there's a loss of communication. And as human beings, and just being a writer myself, I'm always looking for a word that very distinctly describes, whether in poetry or just in trying to describe someone. So I recently felt like I don't know that I used words in a best way. I was taken by surprise at a little birthday luncheon. There were only 4 of us there. And we had just been, laughing and talking about irrelevant data, basically. And it got on something about driving and driving home, because all of us have snowy roads and getting home. And words to the effect, one of the persons said, well, Mary Lee, you might get stopped for, everybody knows I drive slowly. I always have, and I move slowly. I decide things deliberately and I think about them, and someone else has made the decision and is half through the job and I'm still pondering it a little bit, thinking. So I can't undo that part of my personality. That's what I have. But when this individual across from me said that about, oh, you probably get pulled over for driving 40 miles an hour. And that I used words, I said, well, don't insult me. Suddenly that was a big break. And oh, ha, 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 everything's funny. And that was a break because I very seldom get ticked off. And somehow I got ticked off. So the last paragraph of our lesson, going on and on, it says, and what he hears may indeed be quite startling. It may also seem to be quite irrelevant to the presented problem as he perceives it, and may in fact confront the teacher with a situation that appears to be very embarrassing, as this was to me. All these are judgments that have no value. They are his own, coming from a shabby self-perception, which he would leave behind. And I thought, how often do we take offense to someone's comments to us? And that reflects back perhaps on a shabby self-perception. Anyhow, I just, then of course it follows with judge not the words that come to you, but offer them in confidence. Well, I don't know exactly what wisdom well that all sprung from, but I feel words that we speak to one another are our way of communicating. The woman that has dementia is no longer speaking to Deborah in a way that can be of logic and importance and help her day. She mentioned that this woman might talk in way out language. It's not even helping Debbie. So my concept that words are very important. I know there's layers of this that I'm not understanding, incidentally. I know I'm probably just covering the surface, but I just thought I would offer that as yet another perspective of, I'll have to study this lesson more to perhaps go deeper into that, because I do place large importance on my words, even as I've spoken to you guys this morning.
I think you understand more than you give yourself credit for, Mary Lee. I really do, because when you said what you said in response to what your friend said to you, you were letting them know that I have a wound in that area where I don't feel like, you know, I don't feel confident in my driving, or I don't feel confident in whatever way that pushed your button. Just letting your friends know that is a sore spot for you. Hopefully they took that in and they can be more compassionate next time. And you can look at that for yourself and say, you know, that really wasn't that important, but apparently I have something that I could look at there within myself that that is crying out for love, and I can love that part of myself.
Well, thank you for that. And it is true that at least two of the persons in this 4-person luncheon drive quite fast on the slippery roads. And there is incidents of accidents. And I actually have confidence in my driving. I'm grateful that at 73, I have never had an accident. I realize that could change tomorrow. A drunk driver could hit me or something, but of all the years that I've driven on dangerous roads, So maybe, I don't know, the shabby self-perception. I guess I'm, shaming oneself for speaking out and saying, well, don't insult me.
Mhm.
It also, I think, brought up that, do these friends really know me? Do they really know me? And I think that kind of played a part on that as well.
Yeah, and
it
maybe
made
part
me
of it
feel-
too.
Yeah, I felt
Maybe-
separated.
Right. But maybe part of it too, what triggered you was the judgments that you have that they drive too fast and recklessly. And when you realized, oh, I have those judgments about them, that was the sore spot. Who knows? But it's just something to contemplate.
Yeah, and that would be unconscious guilt.
Yeah,
That's a good
absolutely.
point. That's a good point, Linda. And sorry, I should have raised my hand, but I think too, Mary Lee, it's interesting. I don't know if you noticed it, but when you were kind of telling this story, you sort of laughed about it. So that to me is a good, that's like, okay,
Yeah.
we forget to laugh. That was a whole tiny mad idea. And you kind of did laugh about it. And it's interesting to me. And I love how you put it, Linda. But it's interesting to me that you were already judging yourself as being a slow driver, but you got mad at them when they agreed with you for being a slow driver. So it's just, the ego is just insane. The ego is just insane. But thank you for bringing all that up. Very, very interesting.
Yeah. Always such wise words come from your mouth, my friend. Robin, do you wish to share what you were going to share earlier? And then we will close out.
Sure, just quickly. Well, number one, Derwin, I'm so, the fact that you speak in a third language is just, marvelous. And that you can pray in that is marvelous. And whatever else is going on, and I have trouble too speaking, and that's why I don't a lot, and praying. And your message, you are such a lovely, gentle man, and your messages to us each week are so warm that you always embrace us. You always welcome us in. And there's just this sweetness about your shares that I personally, and I'm sure all of us, deeply appreciate. So thank you for that. Yes. So maybe that's enough. I thank you, Linda. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Robin. I feel the same way. Derwin, you are a soft spot in my heart for sure. So next week, 22, how are healing and atonement related? I wonder. I'm going to close this with the Pathways of Light insights for today's lesson 52, which is a review of lessons 6 through 10. This lesson review is helpful in jarring my notions about what is real. I need to recognize that the thoughts that I am thinking that make this world seem real are insane. These thoughts about a world of separate individual forms means nothing because they are nothing. When I try to make them something, I need to realize that this is trying to put a barrier against God, trying to make something other than God real. Jesus is helping me recognize these illusions, this image making for what it is. I need this reminder many times a day because I have done a good job in making these images seem very real. It is like I am in a virtual reality suit and have forgotten that it is just a fantasy story that I made up. The fantasy story is still just a fantasy. It is not real. I am not the dream I am experiencing. In reality, the whole sonship is still one extension of God's external or eternal love. Everyone that seems separate in the dream, in truth, is the same love. Today, I am willing to take time out from being involved with my fantasy dream of separation to remember that it is just a dream. Only the love I extend means anything. This love is eternal and changeless. The sentence that stood out to me today that hasn't before was that I am trying to use time against God. That doesn't seem obvious, but realizing that I see only the past, which is unreal, means I am using the past to obscure my vision of reality, which is God. Without time, there would be no past. Time is a mechanism for breaking eternity into little pieces. It makes it seem as though eternity can have a past and a future. Excuse me, yet neither the past nor the future are here, so they cannot be real. Thus, the idea of time is a way of keeping me unaware of the eternal present and unaware of love of God. Hanging on to images from the past is what unforgiveness is. That is why I must forgive all the images from the past that I carry in my mind. It is through this forgiveness that I clear my vision so that I can see the love that is ever present. Forgiveness is the means to see God. Today, I ask Holy Spirit to help me see all things anew, without shadows from the past, and with his shining light. Excuse me. In this seeing, I will see my brother as one with me. I will see God in my brother. In this vision, I find peace, for there is no conflict in what is one with me. The barriers to love are gone, and I know the peace of God is mine. What perfect timing for these lessons. I went to bed last night unhappy with my actions that evening. I woke up feeling burdened by the past. It took some effort, but with the help of today's lessons, I was able to put aside the past and feel as if a great weight has been lifted from me. When I woke up, I felt depressed and hopeless as I faced a long, unwelcome day. Now I feel light and joyous and look forward to another opportunity to think with God. I gladly give up my private, meaningless thoughts. If I forget, then I'll just try again. I will do my best not to use time against God. If he can be patient with me, then I can be patient with myself. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
so much.
everybody. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Love you all.
Love you all.
Love you.
Love you.
Have a beautiful
Thank
week.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.